What up, what up? It's the homie Mac, music, art, culture, knowledge. I'm here with my homie Khalifa. Who you be, homie? Tell us about yourself.
Khalifa Sultan Lee, uh, Atlanta representative, ATL.
Original A-Town.
Yeah, original. Last Mohicans. um, West Side, South Side representative.
Okay, where'd you go to high school?
Benjamin Mays, Dr. Benjamin Mays High School.
Okay.
SWAT, Sadlersville, Cascade Community, Red Hill.
Was that zone 3 or 4?
4.
4, okay.
Actually, this area that we're in now was actually 3. Let's see what else about me. Well, it's gonna be I'll try to do it. I'll be as quick as possible.
Take your time. Take your time.
Currently serving as MPUH Adamsville, West Atlanta Vice Chair of Public Service, second in command.
That's what's up.
Let's see. I'm also a STEAM educator. That's science, technology, engineering, art, agriculture, architecture, mathematics, STEAM for my school that I teach at. Where my first community garden that I built for the community is currently.
Wow. Okay.
It's been about 8+ years going on that. Hopefully I'm loud enough. Sometimes I be low.
No, you good. We'll figure it out.
Then as well, as a community gardener and grower, I've built and designed several community gardens, worked on several community gardens and farms here in the city of Atlanta. I'm a community organizer and activist as long as I've been alive, but my more recent times I've been actively engaged in getting my own University of Virginia, to be actively engaged in the process of restitution and reparations and other manners from which when I was a college student, we got to school to apologize for their role in slavery. And that was to build upon the many works that would take several years. It's been literally about 13, 14 years of work. And now we have a board to work on just that for the reparations thereof. Currently serving as the co-chair of our university's our university studies conference that is coming soon. Making sure we keep that conversation in the circle. Because we're talking about any times when it comes to dealing with us, we have to deal with the healing process thereof and what's needed when we talk about the studies that have been done on behalf of and for and about our people.
You done said enough, brother.
Yeah.
I just want to get into it.
I'm an artist, I'm a photographer, I'm a performer, I'm a writer, I'm a painter. I mean, I'm a creator, I'm a thinker, I'm a mover.
Definitely.
I'm a doer.
I'm gonna put your information in the box so people can reach out to you.
Absolutely. I've Khalifa. To be simple, I've Khalifa. Find me there.
Okay, for sure. So, reparations. Let me play. Let me hear you. Okay. Black people just need to get over it. It was in the past. Black people are more socially mobile now as of 2022. You didn't go through the things that your ancestors went through. So why are you owed reparations? Why are your people owed reparations? And clearly, I'm playing devil's advocate, folks.
Was that a prepared question?
No, that just came off the top. Freestyle.
You said why?
Yeah, why? You are more socially mobile now than your ancestors.
No, not necessarily so. Then also depends on whose ancestors and which ancestors. We have a lot of ancestors
Right.
that were here, brought here, forced here, and then as well when we talk about here, where is here? Many people don't have the luxury of understanding the process of building a corporation, especially when it comes to the maintenance, carrying it, and the buying thereof and capturing thereof of property, assets. Then as well, we don't understand the process of war. And when we don't have that in our lexicons, these particular things in our modes of information, how we have come to be and exist in these times, you then won't be able to understand why we do reparations. Because when we also look backwards, we also think about, well, who all got reparations from this particular corporation, the United States of America. everybody but us.
Right.
Shoot, actually, the daggone our Afghanistanian brothers and sisters just got reparations.
Right. Right. And I even heard Joe Biden was trying to cut a check, like upwards 6 figures or better, for the Mexicans that got caught at the border.
Yeah, I think it was 650 million?
Something like some ridiculous number.
Yeah, we were like, oh hey, that would be nice. That'd be nice. So yeah, why would we do? Because we're old. We're the one of the few people in this country who can literally say not only we built this place, we fought for this place, we were a part not only in its initial design by pre-writing the particular language that would be the codex of what they use in order to formulate the actual freedom papers, so what we call the Declaration of Independence. As well, giving them the framework of how they should build and design the colonies. Many of these colonies, we're continuously finding out they really didn't build them. They were probably already there in terms of how the cities are shaped or the landscape was moved or was positioned, as well as how the land moves and flows and how people move across the land.
But let me interject.
Yes.
That sounds really good, brother. You are hella articulate. But if black folks get reparations, all they're gonna want is Popeye's chickens and Jordans.
Well, in that, this is also why it's due, because we also have to look at the conditions that we've been placed in to not understand how we work and deal with money. And we're also taking into consideration that reparations is more than just money and funds. We have to deal with our isms, the things that happen to us mentally, physically, and spiritually. All those things have to be healed and dealt with. Economically as well, that's what we're also talking about when it comes to restitution, restoring, reparations, repairing. We're repairing what's been broken. We're putting the pieces in place in order to make sure that those things can be fixed. These parts of us can be healed over. As well, when it comes to particular things that have been promised to us, also receiving those very things as well. I'm not talking simply about our 40 acres and the mule. I'm talking about particular monies owed when it comes through our communities and gentrify.
That sounds really cool, brother, but I ain't trying to hear none of that shit because it's struggling white folks out here. It's struggling. Shoot, look at the Native Americans.
I cut you even deeper. Some of these white people are also descendants of slaves.
But you don't think that would open up a can of worms where you have white people feeling like, hey, I'm a victim too. I'm owed. That may take away from us, you know.
Well, once again, this is where we have to also make sure that we're putting ourselves in proper placement of understanding where we are, because we also understand who we are. So when it comes to our other human family members who've crossed the thresholds of genetic bondships, we would then have to make sure we put special placements in there for them, because, you know, when it comes to the race game, a lot of these folks who claim certain things, they aren't them.
Right.
And that's why I brought that up.
And white folks are very notorious for playing that game. Yeah. I'm Native American, I'm this, I'm that.
Exactly. Like, there's a lot of folks who claim to things they are not them, as well, including the fact that we're talking about people who have lost their names, lost their not only their cultures, but also their literal physical land. That's why we're able to go back onto the walls, these paintings, these images that are literally buried under universities, libraries, entire, I want to say countries, but I forgot what to call the Vatican.
The Vatican.
We have,
it's its own entity, right?
Yeah,
like DC.
Yeah, something like that, and we're just all over the internet now. Thank you, my good sir Philip E. For designing and fathering the internet, because now we have access to a lot of these images that have been buried. Because those images show you images of people with afros who were once here on the land well before any so-called colonialists came along. Okay. Those would also have been our ancestors too, because the indigenous Americans who are here living and thriving and having their own empires were the ones who would also be our earliest descendants and our earliest descendants of slavery.
No,
I'm sorry, not descendants. I'm sorry, our descendants, those who came before us.
Right. We're the progeny there.
Yeah, we're the progeny. We're the descendants of them. Those were our first enslaved ancestors. Then we have those who came across the ships, who came across the boats. And we're also talking about America. We're not talking about North America only. We're also talking about the entirety of America. This is a continent,
right.
Not two.
Right.
A continent, north and south. That's how you have a north part and a south part.
And central, right?
You know, or then central, like they made Middle East.
Right. Yeah, man-made concept.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have to also consider that we've been moved around. And if you go into these particular countrysides of these of our American lands, the people there, they know. They will tell you that they're Taino and their people were brought on ships from the lands above.
And Taino, that's Puerto Rico, right?
Well, it goes not only from Puerto Rico, it goes over to Florida and into the Carolina lands, and it taps all the way down to the Caribbean, because our people were moved, and South America as well, because they were moved around.
Right.
We're moved around purposely so, because when you're in war and you have people who are fighting back, there's also, remember, and put that into our language, that we were always fighting. Because it's our land. How are you gonna come across my land and tell me what I am and who I am not and what you're gonna do here? Oh, we're gonna fight you.
So let me interject. So I read a book in undergrad. They came before Columbus.
Yes.
R.I.P. Dr. Ivan Van Sertima. So are you in agreement that we were here pre-colonial interaction?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Because that concept is foreign to a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Even now. So,
but that is also part of the game. Because if I have the ability to make sure that you don't feel as if you were not only here before we came and fucked shit up, then you off the bat feel less of an interest of inquiring about it.
right.
You know, like if somebody came into your grandma's home and took all your grandma's stuff and you weren't born yet. But then your grandma died, but then didn't tell your family member that somebody took your stuff. That's literally where we're at.
And I want to add to that. One of my favorite books is The Iceman Inheritance by Michael Bradley. And pretty much in that book, he speaks to not only sexism and racism, but just how dangerous white male hegemony is. And he talks about pretty much, you know, you are a reflection of your land.
Absolutely.
And if you're living in Europe, it's cold, scarcity of resources. Your whole mindset is survival.
Absolutely.
You know, so when you're dealing with people who are, I guess, less humane by nature. I mean, I know some people who would even argue that white people aren't human. I don't know how you feel about that. But I've literally sat in conferences, classrooms when I was an undergrad, where there were professors saying that they don't even think white people are human. They think that they are Neanderthal, traces of Neanderthal in their DNA. So they couldn't even.
They're a splice.
Right.
They're a splice.
Right.
That's what the word is. They're splices.
Right.
They're different humanoids, but the primary and the oldest and ancient or the most original version of the humanoid is supposed to be us.
Original man.
The original man.
Yes, sir. And I guess it's almost like maybe, not that I give them a pass for it, because I don't. For the things, I mean, it's, you know, one of the things that the Nation of Islam, when I got in contact with a lot of those brothers, one of the first things that they showed me is just pretty much how, I think they called him Yaqub. Mm-hmm. And pretty much, you know, the pale man has just had a bloodlust for control and to create dissension amongst all indigenous people. Absolutely. And I kind of always thought, like, damn, that's racist to say that. But when I really kind of took a step back, like, I can't think of anything that, especially pre-colonial times, that white people, this sounds so fucked up, but I can't think of anything positive that they have really contributed to the world, especially to indigenous people. Because another book, the Black Jacobins, in that book they talk about how pretty much European powers got tired of fighting with each other over each other's shit. So they say, you know what? Let's stop beefing with each other and let's see what else is out there that we can conquer. And they split Africa like a piece of cake.
Yep.
Went to the Caribbeans. It is just, and I know like when the Europeans came into contact with the natives, and when I say natives, Seminole Indians, different tribes. The Indians or the natives, they couldn't grasp the concept of owning land. So it's like the Europeans came in with a capitalistic mind frame from the beginning.
Absolutely.
And sometimes I wonder, us as indigenous people, like, is our humanity a weakness? Because we've always, and I've argued this with many people, like, black people, we open up space for everybody. Like, who do we reject?
That's very true, and very much. Yeah, if that's a question, is that a question?
Yes, it's a question. Pose to you.
It wouldn't necessarily be a weakness unless somebody's looking to use it as one.
Right.
If anything, it's a strength, and that in itself is what makes us human. And that's why the part of the argument was that they aren't human because they lack that empathetic ability to say and connect to someone and say, "Hey, you are my family, you are my sister, you're my brother. Here, have this." And that's why when we came into these lands, Columbus could come out and say, they're so great and so honorable and so masterful. They will be great subjects. It's easily subjects to be taken over. I'm using very short language.
That's so
and when we're talking about that, we're also saying that we have to redefine what is to be human, and also redefine what strengths and what is strengths and what is weaknesses, and also understand the definitions of war. Because when it comes to war, when you're at war with someone, there's typically supposed to be, I'm talking in ancient times, grounds of war. Right. You have to agree upon how we're fighting, what are we using, what are we not using. Matter of fact, technically we have a few.